question in this regard is going to be with respect to geology, earth structure and relief. That is, discuss the role of localized orogenies in forming the peninsular India or in forming the whole of India. Now, if you can go on to take a look at the nature of this question, that is going to be very, very significant. The first is it is going to be talking about the role of a localized orogeny, that is localized mountain building, and how is it that its impact, what has been its impact on establishing India as a geological entity. How is it that it goes on to form India as a geological entity? That means the impact is going to be felt only in one sphere. Now, this is a question that has never ever been asked, and the chances of it being asked is always going to be very, very high. Why is it that we are going to say that its chances being asked is very high? Is because of many other reasons, many factors here that has been associated with two general aspects. One is that, of course, we have been saying about that these are the type of questions that the UPSC is looking for to ask. Second is that it is getting itself confirmed. This is a question that is away from geography of such, because geographers are not in a position to understand the functioning and the concept behind such type of a topic. And why is it that they can't go to understand it? They can't go to understand it for a simple reason that this is in geography. These are the type of perspectives that are not there. Geography goes on to be descriptive. Geology goes on to be more scientific. It has a solid scientific base, and we are talking about this solid scientific component. So, the answer to this question must go on to begin with first exemplifying the concept, that is how does this happen, and then taking examples. First is about concept and then taking these examples. So, to begin with, we are going to be talking about that is India goes on to form from a basement. The first part in this case is going to be associated with India as a basement. A basement formed. Now, this basement formed over the asthenosphere. And it is this asthenosphere that was so significant because it was moving over, it was rolling over, and it was, of course, floating over the underlying surface of asthenosphere. That is one part. Such type of basements formed. There were a lot of basements that went on to form, and these basements, they formed a nuclei or several nuclei. They formed a nuclei or they formed several nuclei. These nuclei, all of these type of nuclei, they collided with each other in the process, and as they collided with each other, they got welded, and as they got welded, they formed mountain ranges or they formed orogeny, and it is in this process that the size went on to increase. So, it is like there is going to be one of these basement, there is going to be another of this basement, both of them collided, small basements collided, and they led to formation of a mountain. Because they led to formation of mountain, both of them fused. They underwent what we are going to talk about, accretion, marginal accretion. Then there was another one that went on to fuse. That means this is how there was another part that went on to fuse itself. So, both of them ultimately went on to join. That means both of them going to be moving against each other. Supposing this is how they were moving, and this is how a mountain formation took place. Both of them got welded, and then the size went on to increase. Now, as this nuclei was going to collide with another one coming from another direction, supposing this is how its shape was. So, in the intervening area, there was going to be formation of another of this mountain that took place. Both of them moved, both of them collided, and the collision of it led to the formation of another this range, and that welded both of them together. So, first A and B collided, they led to formation of C. Then C and D collided, they led to formation of E. Then E and F collided, they led to formation of G. So that is how exactly the size of this nuclei kept on increasing. So the first was, of course, the process was of the formation of a basement. The basement in its process of collision grew in size through mountain building, and thus many mountain building episodes took place. That goes on to strengthen the first part of our topic, that is what impact these type of localized orogenies had on. These type of localized orogenies had on mountain building. That is what had been the first part. So how many of these type of mountain building activities took place here? Now the oldest orogenic cycle is going to be observed as a relic in some Archean area. So in the Archean, the oldest orogeny took place, oldest orogenic event took place. And which was this orogenic event? It was going to be Singhbum and Kyeonjer orogeny. That was a small orogeny, which is what has led to the formation of iron ore series. So that was going to be in the early Archean. It was in the late Archean that something else that went on to happen. So late Archean, that was early late Archean, was going to be another part of it. That means it took place, and that led to the formation of the Eastern Ghat. During this time, the Eastern Ghats were formed. That was in late Archean, and along with Eastern Ghat was formed Dharwad and Amgaon orogeny. Three of these type of orogenies took place, and it was during the same time, that is towards the close of it, that means late Archean, same time, that is Bundelkhand gneiss also formed. By and large at the same time in the northern part of the peninsula. And Bundelkhand is reminiscent of a volcanic activity that took place. It is nothing but a volcanic deposit that took place. And it was at that point of time that there was a sea. Now this is something that you can go on to make a drawing of it as well. That is this type of a drawing is also that you can go on to draw it. And that is where there was Vindhyan Sea, and these were the places where the Bundelkhand gneiss kept on evolving. So it evolved out from a sea. Now that went on to evolve. We are going to begin with the Proterozoic. Now that goes on to bring us to early Proterozoic. During the early Proterozoic, there was first formation of Aravallis. Now, Aravalli still exists in the form of a range. It's not exactly that other of them going to exist as a range. So it was going to be Aravalli, and then it was going to be Delhi ranges. Delhi has two such type of ranges, Aravalli ranges and the Delhi ranges. And it was again in the early part of Proterozoic that the Eastern Ghats also got themselves affected. So two of them almost like began or in the middle of it, and Eastern Ghat were already existing and they started getting themselves affected because of it. Then it was going to be after early Proterozoic, it was going to be middle Proterozoic, and in middle Proterozoic there were successive forms of mountain building taking place. So during middle Proterozoic, orogenic cycles took place in Shillong Plateau, it was going to be in Satpura. There were many of them, many successive phases took place. So it led to formation of Satpura ranges. That was one part. And during late Proterozoic, during this part, orogenic cycles took place in Shillong and Travancore region. That means Shillong Plateau formed during this time. Travancore having a having a historical significance. That was going to be during late Proterozoic. Now, mountains are the sound site of building of these two type of continents, and it is these mountains that go on to allow certain type of built up to take place, certain type of a welding point to take place. So, as an example, now you can go on to pick it up. Along Satpura, two blocks of the peninsula, north and south, got welded. Now, if you can go on to take example of this whole of the peninsula now, this is where Aravalli mountains had formed, and that's the place where the Satpura mountains have formed, and these are small places where Amgaon orogeny took place. That was where Dharwad orogeny took place. These were the regions. Now, what Aravalli did was that it welded two blocks. That means block number A and block number B. Both of them got welded because of Aravalli. So, you can imagine that this was one of these blocks that got itself welded because of Aravalli formation. And when Satpura formed, then Satpura welded these two blocks, both of them, B and C. And when these Dharwad mountains had formed, they had already welded these two blocks. When these two mountains had formed, they had already welded these two as well as these two. And when there was going to be the Shillong Plateau region, then the whole of this place got itself again connected. Now, this is the way that the peninsula had acquired its characteristic or its present geological form. Every time, whenever there is going to be any orogenic event or any mountain building activity, mountains go on to become the site of a welding of two plates. And when these two plates go on to get themselves welded, it is the welding of these two plates that allows again two continents to join together, or two plates to join together. So small plates used to be moving over a asthenosphere in India, and they acted like a nuclei, and several of certain type of nuclei kept on joining together. And as they joined together, this is what happened.
To have more such discussions and analysis, subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for notifications on our upcoming videos.